Hello there, YouTube, and welcome to Monday's edition of The Breakfast Club with Got That Funk. Thank you for joining me. Back here on my normal day, my original day, I should say. When we kicked this channel off almost 3 years ago, Mondays were my day. But more recently, Sword Sage has been doing Mondays, but we've now traded. He's doing Fridays, and I'm doing Mondays because that turns out to be more convenient for each of us, so everybody wins. Anyway, for everybody watching this video contemporaneously, you probably already are aware that the midterm elections in the United States are tomorrow. And there's an awful lot at stake in this election. It's not an exaggeration to say that millions of people who depend on healthcare in order to survive will lose their healthcare if the GOP maintains their control of Congress. It's never been more important to try to flip both houses of Congress, really, but at the very least, the House of Representatives, from Republican-controlled to Democrat-controlled. Fascism and white supremacy are definitely on the ballot this election. To my politically right-leaning friends and viewers, I sincerely ask you this: what would it take for you to finally consider the Trump regime to be a fascist regime? What would it actually take? We've already had camps, we still have them in fact, with hundreds of children who've been separated from their parents. All in all, almost 3,000 kids were separated from their parents at the border by Trump's goons and put into harsh facilities. And the ones that remain, we've lost the paper trail between the child and their parent, and to a pretty large degree, because there's so much shit that Trump keeps spitting out, and not just Trump, of course, but I mean the news these days is awful, and unfortunately that means that the plight of these children doesn't get anywhere near as much attention as it should, and it should. We should never be comfortable with having people who've never committed a crime being incarcerated. That's not okay. Especially children. You've got kids in cages. Don't you dare refer to America as the land of the free as long as that's the case. Don't you dare. Fascism, white supremacy. There are openly white supremacist candidates running on GOP tickets all over America. Not every GOP candidate, of course, is a white supremacist. Has to be said outright. But quite frankly, it doesn't matter if they are or not when it comes to this election, because every vote for someone in high office, whether it's a state legislature or the national legislature, every single vote for a Republican in this election will be seen as a vindication of Trump and Trumpism. It will be seen as a vindication of Trump's nasty-ass rhetoric against immigration, against Middle Easterners, against the Democrats, and so forth, against the media. And if you think it's been bad in 2018 as Trump ramps up the rhetoric as we get closer and closer to the election, can you imagine what it's going to be like in 2020? Especially if the Republicans don't get hammered tomorrow in the elections. So whether you agree with me or not that the Republican Party is now the American Nationalist Party, whether you agree with me or not that fascism is sitting in the White House right now, whether you agree with those things or not, you must agree that for our democracy to work properly, there has to be a system of checks and balances. And the past 2 years have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that Congress, as it's currently composed, is unwilling to check the executive. Donald Trump's nominated 2 out of the 9 Supreme Court justices, the most recent one being Brett Kavanaugh, who no doubt feels that he owes the president a favor because the president did so much to make sure that he got confirmed. So it's safe to say that if the Republicans maintain control of the House and Senate, Trump's got the Congress in his pocket. It's safe to say that as long as Trump's 2 nominations are maintained on the Supreme Court, that Trump, to a pretty large degree, has the court in his pocket. So the only check left on the executive is we, the citizens of the United States of America, we, the people. That's it. We have to vote. If you haven't voted by mail or in early voting, make sure you get to the polls tomorrow. And in my opinion, there's only one compassionate, sensible thing to do, and that is to vote out everybody that you can on the GOP ticket. Because if we don't, it's only going to get worse from here on out. The only way to check Trump is to slap him in the face with a cold, hard slap of reality. Kick the GOP majority out of Congress in both the House and the Senate. Then we can start to hold the executive to account, even if that doesn't mean impeachment proceedings, but instead means investigations into some of Trump's behavior. That will check him quite a lot better than anything the previous Republican-controlled Congress seemed willing to do. There are numerous examples of where Trump is vulnerable to be impeached. Emoluments is one that jumps to mind, but there are others, and I don't want to labor them with this video. Really, this video is about the election. And in order to save the democracy, in order to save our republic, in order to save the future, in order to save the planet, these Republican motherfuckers need to be shown the door. I look forward to anything you've got to say in the comments section down below, and I'll be back again next week on Monday for another edition. Until then, thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll have Sister Danger here tomorrow. Peace.